Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I am so happy to see you again, and today I am working on an apartment in San Myshuno, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, but there are two rooms you may have already noticed kind of above where I'm building right now that I didn't delete. And I do fix that, but it takes me literally the whole build. Like, I finish my build and then I figure out that for some reason I just ignored the fact that there were two rooms over there that I didn't delete or decorate. So I do fix it, but you will see the whole time, and I do not know why I didn't realize it, and I still didn't realize it until I was actually showing my husband the apartment when I finished, because I really liked the way it turned out. And all of a sudden I was like, what are those two rooms? Why can I see them? That means it's part of this apartment and I didn't actually decorate them. And I wanted to have this up a little bit earlier today, and my plan was to finish it last night, do all the editing and all of that and have it out. But yeah, I just kind of walked away from my computer when I realized I just ignored that whole part of the apartment. So anyways, we do get to it later, and I do end up moving things around just a little bit. In particular, I end up having an office like to the right when you walk in the front door, which I do end up moving. I turn that into a bathroom, and anyways, you'll kind of see what I do a little bit later on. But I did try to focus on some of the new kits we just got, like the Casanova kit, the Secret Sanctuary, and the Refined Living Room. So those are ones I tried to use because I haven't actually used them, and a lot of the builds I just posted on the channel over the past 2 weeks I built before any of these actually came out, or at least most of them. So I try to use a lot of those, and I actually end up using Life and Death as well, especially since the Casanova kit has the TV and that built in that have the marbling on it, especially the green. I do swap it back to the green. I went back and forth a lot about what I wanted to do, I'm not going to lie, but I do end up keeping that orange swatch there on the couch and those chairs. I love them so much. I am in love with that loungy chair that we got with the Refined Living Room kit, which doesn't surprise me since this actually is a CC creator, so obviously everything we got with that kit was absolutely wonderful. I love all of it, and I actually came to this kind of upsetting realization that those new base game windows that we got, I was really excited about them, and I do love them, don't get me wrong, but they don't come with any brown swatches because I wanted to use them when I was doing this apartment, and to my surprise, they didn't come with any brown swatches. So it only came with white, black, and then some colors. And I don't know why they didn't give us any brown swatches. So that made me a little bit upset, but that's totally off topic. But it's just something I kept remembering every time I wanted to choose windows. Those would have been perfect, but they just didn't make any sense because they didn't have any brown swatches. And I went back and forth a lot too, a little bit in this living room. I ended up pausing the recording a few times trying to pick out the right rug and the right table for this space. And I do end up kind of putting this little bar in, which I believe the bar came with the Casanova kit. And apologies if you can hear the school bus outside my office window right now, since I am on the front of my house. You can see it. And I know it's 5 o'clock right now, but I mean, you don't know that, but I guess I'm telling you that. But they do have some kids across the street that probably are in an after school program. So they do come by several times, and it actually makes my dogs very insane. I mean, they're not in my office right now, so you wouldn't know it, but they do every single time the bus comes by. This happens, several times every day, and they still just can't stand it. But I do end up using the Secret Sanctuary, that cluster of pictures there. I really love those, but we do actually end up moving them into kind of the little hallway by the bedroom, so you do see those. But I ended up using this multi-mirror. I don't really know what to call that, but I thought it looked so pretty. I feel like I always want to use it, but it never really matches. And I still looking at this, it's so obvious that there are two rooms right there that I'm just neglecting. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe that I forgot about it, but it's fine. We all make mistakes, but I do end up figuring it out, and I really end up liking this a lot. This is actually only a 1-bedroom, 2-bathroom, so it is quite a large apartment. I kind of envisioned maybe a single sim, maybe 2 sims that just honestly are living their best life here, and they have like an office, and I end up putting in like an easel, a piano, and I just figured maybe that they're into like classical music and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I envisioned. And of course, I ended up using the secret sanctuary door there to kind of lead into the office. I was like, this is perfect and it's going to be so cute. And then I end up having to move it. But don't worry, I still think it does make a lot of sense. And honestly, having those extra rooms I had to decorate, I did squeeze in a half bath, which I think is really nice because I figured the Sims also maybe do a lot of hosting, especially with this large, beautiful dining room. It would make a whole lot of sense for them to have like people over all the time. And I will say too that when I was doing the kitchen, I had a little bit of a hard time. I think I also end up pausing and I might end up just like changing the colors of cabinets or something like that. So just be prepared if that does happen. But they end up with a huge kitchen, like so much counter space. I'm honestly in love with it. Like it's kind of kitchen goals for me, which is not something, I don't know if I'll ever have a kitchen that large, but I do love it. And I do really love these new counters we got with Life and Death. I feel like I've used them a lot, but they have such great swatches, and I love the countertops that actually have like a texture to them. I say texture, but actually have like a visual pattern to them, which we don't have, I feel like, a lot of those counters in the game. And all of the cabinetry is so saturated, like the colors is just so lovely. And I tried to do like a two-toned cabinet thing here, but I think I end up just doing the single because I tried and it just felt like they were competing. And I tried to use the new base game lights as well, but I do end up swapping them out. I started feeling like having those plants over the island there, I guess technically maybe it's a peninsula since it's up against the wall, but I just felt like it didn't match the rest of the apartment. And here, adding these windows, this is also when I realized that we didn't have any brown swatches, because I spent so long trying to find some windows that I felt like would look good there in the kitchen. But I think those worked out really nicely, and we do end up adding some clutter in there. And I don't really use, so the poster picture thing we got with the Casanova kit, I really like it and I think it has lovely swatches, but I didn't feel like a lot of them really fit with this apartment. I tried to do just like a lot of art more so than posters. I think I do end up using it in the gym. So this sim or Sims have a full gym. They also have like an office. They have a seating, art, music room, which I do end up, I think, using maybe all of the couches we got from those 3 kits, which is kind of insane considering this is just a just a 1-bedroom apartment. But I think it turned out so lovely, and I tried to use the really tall windows so that you could really see out into the city, and the views are just honestly fantastic. And I think this is actually modeled, I think, after New York City is my guess. And I feel like New York City, I've never been myself, but it would be so cool to actually go and see all of that. Like, I honestly love going to different cities. Not that I've traveled a lot, but when I do, if I'm in a hotel, I want to be like on the highest floor. I want to like all of the views. I don't know, just driving around like places that have tall buildings. I don't know, I just find it so interesting. I think the architecture as well as just the engineering that goes in with all of that, I guess maybe because I am kind of a STEM person, I just really enjoy that. So I would think it'd be really fun to go to New York City one day, although it is a bit intimidating because as I'm sitting here talking about, like, I really like looking at tall buildings, I am talking about buildings that have maybe 20 floors, like in comparison to actual really big cities that have these gigantic skyscrapers. It's very different. So I guess I didn't grow up around all of that, so it's a lot of fun to go to. And I actually end up using those cabinets. I'm going to call them cabinet / bookshelfy kind of things that came with the Casanova kit. I basically use those as almost like end tables. I'm using end tables loosely here for the bedroom, but I think it ended up looking so good in here. I really, really love the bedroom. Honestly, I think the screenshots of the bedroom may be some of my favorite from this apartment. And I feel like maybe this apartment is a little less cluttered than some of my other builds, which I'm not going to lie was a bit of a struggle for me because I just put clutter everywhere. And I do end up, what what I am about to decorate as the bathroom becomes basically a walk-in closet, which I think turned out really nicely. And I end up kind of creating this dresser situation across from the bed, and one of the newer mirrors we got, I can't remember which pack it is from, fit like perfectly in this dresser that I created, which you'll see what I mean here in a minute. And I was so excited about it. Like, I didn't have to raise it up or anything. It just like slotted in really nicely, which is really exciting. And then adding in here some of the pictures we got from the Casanova kit, as well as I tried to use, I think I ended up taking that mirror out, that tall one. I felt like it worked really well, but at the same time didn't. I end up swapping it out, I think, for the island living mirror, which I know that I use a lot, but I think it looks really nice, and I love that it's so big. I wish we had some more leaning mirrors like that were larger. I know we have a few, but they're just smaller, and I really like the presence that mirror has. So I wish we had a little bit more of that. And that's kind of the dresser thing I was talking about earlier, and I think it turned out really nicely. And then using some of those Love Struck pendants are so pretty. I end up doing a lot of like leaving one and then sizing down the other, and it creates this, I imagine it being this cool like light fixture. And I kind of, I've been looking at light fixtures as well, just for my own house. I want to replace the one in my dining room, which, there are a lot of light fixtures out there, and I love a lot of them. But I feel like there are some light fixtures in this game that make it difficult for your Sims to get around. I think it's the one from Life and Death. I've had some issues with that like big chandelier. I love it. It's so beautiful. I think I talked about this in another speed build, but it just, I don't know, the Sims didn't want to go around it. And you can see here, so I'm finishing up this bathroom, and I love the way it turned out. I end up putting these like floating shelves. I think they're from the Crystal Creations pack, I believe. And I feel like we've gotten so many packs lately that I'm having a hard time keeping up with all of the different items, especially since I'm a bit behind on the pack specific build. I know I've mentioned I am trying to work on a Love Struck one. I'm just having a hard time finishing it. I think I mentioned that in another video as well. I'm hoping maybe that's the next one I end up doing, because I don't have that much left to build on it, but I just need to finish it, if that makes sense. Like, I have several builds that I need to finish, including like a big family home. I say finish, I basically have only built the building. I haven't even decorated any of it at all, but I think it'll be really cute when I finally finish it. And then finishing up this office here, I love the way this office turned out. And then of course I end up changing it, like I mentioned earlier, since I forgot about those other rooms. And we end up kind of taking all of those elements and putting it where the gym ends up being. So the gym moves and the office goes there, because I liked the office having big windows, which obviously here you don't have any windows. So I wanted to kind of move it to a space where there were windows, and the gym ends up having a little more space when I move it, which I think ends up being really nice as well. And then adding in the candelabras, I honestly keep trying to use those. I think those are the ones that came with Love Struck. I keep wanting to use them over and over again, but I feel like in some ways it matched this build, and others I didn't feel like it matched super well. So I end up finishing this gym. I was so excited and so happy when I finished this build. I was like, I can finally edit it and get it out, like, so that it's ready to go, so I don't have to worry about it. But then I end up figuring it out. I don't know if any of you have ever noticed, but usually at the end of my videos I try to zoom out and show like a shot of the house from the exterior, or like the top of an apartment, and I end up doing that and still not realizing that there are those two rooms. So you'll probably see those, and then I end up coming back in and deleting those. Luckily, since I didn't over clutter the like dining living room space, it was really easy for me to just add a simple doorway to kind of get to those rooms. And then we end up adding in some of those, I was about to say mirrors. I don't know why I'm mixing up windows and mirrors today, but that just keeps happening. But we're going to put some of those tall windows in there as well. And I wanted to put in is it the Riviera kit, is the one with like that thing that has the towels and everything on it. I thought that would be really cute here inside of the gym, kind of holding like towels or whatever you have. And you can see it was just so obvious that they were there, but don't worry, we end up fixing it. And at this point is when I start adding in all of the pieces and kind of swapping over. So you'll see me kind of move pieces everywhere because I really liked what I had. I just needed to rearrange them a little bit. So instead of having the Secret Sanctuary bookcase door there, I end up actually just putting the Refined Living Room bookcase there, just kind of taking that out. And actually we end up putting the bookcase from the Secret Sanctuary in this office, and I do swap the layout up a few times trying to figure out what I wanted. Originally I wanted it looking out the window, and then I was like, well, maybe we should put it on the wall, but then I end up swapping it back. So if you're working on the computer, you can look out on the beautiful city, which I thought was really cute. And then again, using the life and death stuff here with the kind of marbled top here, I ended up sizing that down. So I love that piece, but I keep wanting to use it just for like an end table, and it's so big, which is the case for I think a lot of the end tables in the game. They just end up being so huge. But I do love the Secret Sanctuary bookcases. They are so beautiful, and I love it. There's like lighting inside of it with the arch. I feel like is really in right now. I honestly would love some arched kind of cabinets for my dining room, like a curio cabinet, but it's very expensive. I don't know if anybody has actually looked at that recently. And I also will note that I ended up moving the overhead light kind of out of the way. You can kind of see it sticking in the wall. I forget about it until I do screenshots. So what is up on the gallery is fixed. Like, you're not gonna have a light just like clipping into the wall, which on that note, this is already up on the Sims 4 gallery. If you want to download it under my ID, Spice and Sprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And as a reminder, I end up having to delete walls in order to upload it as a singular room. And I also include the lot in the description. So if you're wondering which apartment this belongs to, it is all of my builds for that matter. I put the lot in the description if you're curious as to where I ended up building it, which for apartments is kind of important because that's where it's actually going to fit well. So you can know how to place it there. I also include it in the description on the gallery. So if you find it, any of my builds, I try to include for the apartments, the actual number and the address, I guess, for the apartment so that you know where to place it. Because I feel like that's kind of the downside to downloading apartments is figuring out where it actually fits well. I still really think we need an easier way to put this stuff on the gallery. I would love for them to fix that. I don't think that's probably anywhere on the horizon. And also, I haven't even talked about the trailer that we just had for the upcoming expansion pack. I'm actually really excited about it. I know I was back and forth about it after the initial like teaser trailer, I guess you would call it, but after actually seeing the more in-depth trailer, I'm really excited. I'm just really hoping we don't have the same issues we have with For Rent. But other than that, I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun and open up some building. And of course, I am all about new items. I want all of them, and I think it'll be really fun. I think it's going to add a lot of stuff to the game. So after seeing that trailer, let me know how you feel. I know some people did comment on the other video when I talked about it, so I'd love to hear your opinions now that we've seen more about the pack. And like I said, I'm excited. I can't remember exactly which day it's coming out on. I have already pre-ordered it. I feel like I pre-order all of this stuff. Like, I didn't used to, but I do now. And like, I definitely don't have the packs, all the packs for like Sims 3, that kind of thing, which I need to go back and play the Sims 3 since I've gone back and played the Sims 1 and 2 now, since they got remastered and like put out for PC. So I need to do that again. I need to go and play The Sims 3 and like let me know which one is your favorite out of all of the Sims games, if you've played multiple of them that is, or if you're someone who actually even plays it. I'm sure some people listen to voiceovers just because they enjoy listening to voiceovers kind of in the background but don't actually play The Sims. But anyways, just adding a few more things in here. Like I said, the gym ended up being a little bigger, so I end up adding like a water bottle and some more towels in here, and we end up using that poster that I mentioned from the Casanova kit. End up putting that in there because I thought that was really cute, and then adding in a half bath for guests that come over, which I feel like even in real life, a half bath is so nice to have when you have people over. I'm someone that hosts a lot, so having a half bath has always been really nice. Like my first house didn't have a half bath, but we did have a second bathroom, which was really nice. And like most of my apartments did not have an extra bathroom, but having one now, it's like so nice. And then I do end up, I believe, swapping out that mirror. I felt like it matched, but then again, I don't know. It's just something about it didn't fit. I actually had a hard time with the half bath, which I feel like is a little bit random to kind of have a hard time with, but I tried to use that was the For Rent, I think, rug that I used there, and it just didn't, I don't know. It just didn't feel quite right. I tried putting in this window, the one that I had from the kitchen, and I believe I end up taking that out because I think I swap it out for another window, but it just didn't feel like it filled in the space super nicely. Not that like it's funny, right? I build these to be like, you know, super useful and really nicely laid out, as if, you know, I mean, most apartments I feel like aren't that way, not necessarily including ones in like big cities where like apartments are houses, and those I feel like might end up being a little more useful in terms of how they're laid out, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. I honestly have no idea. And this is that like extra hobby room I was talking about. We end up putting an easel in here, as well as having a piano, which I don't use very often. I can't even remember the last time I end up using a piano other than my own gameplay, when a sim needs to learn the piano, or like a kid has to do the creative aspiration. I end up usually having them play the piano. But I ended up using the Secret Sanctuary, I was about to say rug. No, that is a Love Struck rug, but the Secret Sanctuary couch. And it had the like green on it, and it was so perfect. I was so excited. I really love the way this ended up turning out. Again, using some of that marbling there for that coffee table. And I finally used that like set of pictures. I was very back and forth. I kept thinking about it for this apartment, but I didn't feel like there was a perfect place for it. And I think it works out super well in here. And then just adding in a little extra clutter, a couple of statues here on top of the piano, just kind of filling out the artistic space here. And I think I ended up putting a couple tapestries or something on the wall just to add a little something extra in this space. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye everybody.